Hello and welcome to the first episode of N64 Classics. The Nintendo 64 was released in 1996 and was the main competitor to Sony's PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. The Nintendo decided to stick with cartridges, which was really unusual at the time because both of its competitors had moved on to CDs, and cartridges were, far more limited than what CDs could do in both storage capacity and, just general cost. While Nintendo would reap the benefits from their system with first-party games, the Nintendo 64 lost out big on third-party titles because third-party developers, because of the huge cost and basic lower storage capacity of the N64 carts, decided to go with the competitors instead of the N64. And because of this, the N64 is mostly remembered as a distant third to even the Saturn, but even so, it has fantastic games that have to be played, and they're only played on the N64. Now, this first installment, of course, is going to be the most famous N64 game of all, Super Mario 64, which, even after all these years, is still one of the best games of all time.
Dear Mario, please come to the castle. I have baked a cake for you. Yours truly, Princess Toadstool. Peach.
Now, it's a misnomer to assume that Super Mario 64 was the very first 3D platformer. Far from it. It was, one of many, 3D platformers that appeared in the early, polygon age of digital graphics. Super Mario 64's main innovation was the camera system, though. This is a game that really got the camera system right and how to do it, and get it good. Mario 64 is a fantastic 3D platformer that actually was pretty much the single-handedly designed the N64 controller. If you've ever seen or used the N64 controller, it's extremely strange. It's got these three handles. It's what I like to call a trident controller. Depending on how you hold the controller, the D-pad or L button are not used, or the analog stick and Z button are not used.
Let's go.
And you might think that's really weird, like why would they even build a controller with buttons that you can't immediately access? But once you realize that it was made for Mario 64 almost exclusively, then it sort of comes into focus. And then you start to realize, hey, this was a great controller for Mario 64, but not such a great controller as a general controller for everything. Now, to record this, I'm using the actual authentic hardware. This is the real N64 using an S-video output. N64 games, their visuals don't really age as well as, 16-bit sprite games or even 8-bit sprite games do. And overall, the N64 has this really soft look to it. That one thing is the benefit of emulators that run N64 games is they'll usually, clean this up to make this look significantly better than, the real hardware can do. However, unfortunately, most things cannot emulate the N64 nearly as well as the real hardware can do. So therefore, for this series, I'm going to try and stick with the original hardware when possible. This was the Super Mario 64 was originally designed around the Super FX chip, which was for the Super Nintendo. and it was going to be a game called Mario FX. Mario FX was probably never really made beyond, the drawing board stage, where Nintendo decided to switch, around, early 1995 from producing 3D Super Nintendo games to, start work on the N64. At that time known as Project Reality. The Nintendo Ultra 64, as it was known at the time, was going to be quite a leap forward for the Super Nintendo, or from the Super Nintendo. So Nintendo at the time decided to try and cut all their 3D projects using the Super FX chip on the Super Nintendo, so there would be a more contrasting difference between, these 2D games on the Super Nintendo and then these brand new 3D titles for the N64. This is why games like Star Fox 2 that were, nearly finished, actually ended up never being released. In recent years, Super Mario 64 has become a popular platform for Super Mario 64 hacks on the N64. Some of the hacks out there are really quite fantastic, with most notable example being probably Super Mario 64 Star Road, which I will cover in a video sooner or later, as that is an absolutely fantastic game. Unlike the early Super Mario games, Mario 64's does not have end stage goals where your goal is to get from point A to point B. Really, what these levels are all about is collecting stars by doing various things in levels. These worlds that you inhabit are basically like hub worlds, or little stages where you can do unique things at. There's a star right there, and you can get it by releasing the Chain Chomp. Awesome throwback to Super Mario Bros. 3. Now, if you own an N64, this is a game that everyone should have. It was the best-selling N64 game, and was really a killer app for the system. And like I said, I think this game stands up as one of the best games of all time. Certainly not only on the N64, but overall in general, I think that this is a a game that really everyone should play. Besides the N64 original, there are other various ways to get it, such as the Wii Virtual Console. But if you ask me, to play Super Mario 64, you need the N64 controller. I don't really like it as a general controller, but this is a game that really the controller was designed around for. It would be like playing Dance Dance Revolution without a dance mat, or, something like that. Sometimes, you just gotta play the games like they were meant to. Well, that'll basically do it for this episode, so thanks for watching, guys. I'll be sure to cover more obscure games in the future, but I thought for first I should do, a game that everyone knows. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.